Good news, everybody. My name's Kyle Verge, and I'm here with the Appalachian Center for Economic Networks. Today, we're going to be covering Google Business Basics. This is the last course in our webinar series covering the business basics. We're going to do a little bit more advanced stuff down the line, but for today, we're going to be covering our COVID-19 update, how to change users, how to use Google's basic website, and then how to organize and maintain several different sites with your email address. It's going to be pretty simple, but we're going to walk through it together. And COVID-19 updates. So if you don't know, I have started a fake business. It's called Meow Meow Business. It involves my cat. And the reason I have started this business is so that I can walk you through some of the basics of what it takes to get a Google business listing started. So I went through how you register with Google. I went through the info pane where you can decide on your hours and your amenities, things like that. We went through photos so we could talk about our logo and maybe the interior and exterior of a building. The products, if you sell products, how you can list those. The services, how you can list those. And then finally, what posts are. Now, if you haven't seen those previous webinars, or maybe you have and you still have questions, you can email me at kylv@acenetworks.org, and I'll be happy to help you out with any of that. But today we want to get started with our COVID-19 update. You can see from the home screen that it's suggesting that we ought to stay connected during COVID-19, so we're going to go ahead and do that. It's a really good way to talk to your customers and maybe address some of their concerns they might have about coming into your business. So this is how you do a COVID-19 update. We can get to it from that previous link that where Google was suggesting we click, or we can just come to posts. If you saw my webinar last time, you know that we can do various things with posts, and one of them is the COVID-19 update. So when we come to do an update, it's really important to consider our customer's point of view. Your customer might not care what you've been doing about COVID-19 in your personal life, but rather what you're doing as a business in order to make sure that they remain safe. So this is your chance to address your customers' concerns by updating your status on those specifically. Now I say here, try to keep your updates short and simple. Again, rambling on about how your dog is doing or maybe your grandchildren is probably not too helpful for a COVID-19 update. So we want to just address the things that are first coming to people's mind. So the things that are important to you, and we're going to try to be as specific as possible, because if we want people to put their masks on before they enter our store, we need to be careful and say that. If we don't expect people to wear masks, then we might want to mention that too, because again, having your customers have the correct expectations, or at least have similar expectations as your own, is going to be really important for a happy business relationship. So you can see here that I started, and I keep it pretty simple. I say, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we are taking extra precautions. Now, of course, because this is Meow Meow Business, we're going to take the perspective of a cat. In addressing our customers' concerns. So we have taking more naps, more frequent pets, extra Meow Meow Business Thursday and any day, etc., etc. Now, of course, you're not going to write nonsense like this. You're going to write things like, well, masks are required, hand washing, sanitizing, thermometer or temperature checks, anything that you're doing or not doing is going to help your customers have the correct expectations when they come into your store. So we're just going to click Publish when we're done, and I'll show you what that looks like. So the next slide is viewing our posts, and then we're going to move on to reviews. So we'll start just by looking at our post. We can see that it appeared above our last posting, which was for an event, the Caterwauling Calamity. And now we see that our post about COVID is there, and we can go and double check it on Google and make sure that everything appears like we want it to. But again, pretty simple. It's in the Post tab, or you can get to it from the home screen. But essentially, it's just great to say something about or acknowledge the fact that the pandemic is happening and that you're doing something about it, at least trying to keep your customers safe or taking extra precautions when it comes to doing business. From there, we can move on to the reviews section. Now, this is some of the most important in all of Google business listings, because people often see these 5 stars or 4 stars and they say, well, I guess if other people can trust this business, I can too. So because Meow Meow Business is a fake business, I asked my coworker, Madeline Brewer, to leave us a review so that we could demonstrate what exactly it looks like and how we can reply to those reviews. Now, it's really important to reply to reviews because it shows your customers that you do in fact care about them and how they respond to your business. And it might also entice future customers to come in if they're able to see that you're both friendly and responding to things. Now, the other consideration you might have is if you get a very negative review. If this review happens, what you'll want to do is show your other customers that you're responding to that specific problem that a customer is having and that you're taking steps to address it. So even if it's something small, we want to keep our customers happy and coming back. So it's really important to leave a reply to these messages. I'll show you what that. So reviews and users. So we find here that I responded to Madeline's post, and I say, "Hi Madeline, here at Meow Meow Business, we value your input." So I'm indicating that, I'm listening. "The CEO accepts your praise and returns a sense of aloofness, haughtiness, and superciliousness." Now, of course, you wouldn't say something as silly as all that, but the idea here is that, we're taking into account, we're acknowledging what she's saying, we're showing that we in fact care, and that we're happy to hear from our customers that do in fact review us. And of course, we can edit this down the line, we can delete it, we can do various things with it. So responding to reviews is really important, and this is how you do it. Super simple. Now let's say that you're really busy and you don't have time to respond to reviews. And you want to, in fact, make somebody else respond to all the reviews. So this is how you can add a person that can do this, or maybe add products, maybe add photos, change your info, things like that. In this users pane seen over here, what you'll see is this box will pop up when you click on this tab. And from here, you can add people. And you can add people into 3 different roles. So we can make them an owner, a manager, and a site manager. Now these are different and they all have different permissions. I was going to link to what all of those are, but it's pretty extensive. So what you want to do is just Google, what are the differences between roles in Google Business, and it'll list all the things that you need to look at or to consider when doing it. But you just enter in their email address, choose their role, and then click invite. Pretty simple. Now, if you have multiple locations to your business, it's important, or let's say if you are an administrator, let's say somebody else adds you as a user on somebody else's page, and you want to be able to switch in between those 2 pages without logging in and out every time, well, this is how you do it. You come down here to Manage Locations, and this takes you to an entirely separate tab where all of this disappears. So when we click on this, you'll see that it takes us somewhere a little bit different. So here we are in Manage Locations, and you can see that Meow Meow Business is associated with my specific address, so I do have control over that. I can add a location here. Let's say I had another business in Nelsonville or perhaps in Coolville. Well, here's where I could do it. I could also add separate businesses in general if I go through this process. So again, this is where you'll want to edit it and explore for various options. This is also the place you go when you want to edit your settings about what you get emails from Google about. So for example, if I wanted to know each time that a customer leaves a review, I can check this box. This automatically comes checked. But you can see that I can check this box, and so Google will then email me each and every time someone leaves a review so that I can go and make sure that make sure I don't need to respond immediately. Or let's say that someone adds a photo of our business and it's utterly inappropriate. This is if I keep this on and I want to make sure that all the photos are good and ready to go on my webpage, then I want to make sure that Google is in fact alerting me to when that happens. So I would say reviews are a must, maybe photos are a must, but keeping some of these on, or if you get sick of them, clicking them off is often a good thing to do. All right, so this is the last thing. We have this tab down here. It's called a website. Now, if you already have a website, it's going to be unnecessary to use this specific interface. You obviously, if you have a website, already know a little bit about it and how you can, update it through whatever interface you're using. Google's interface is pretty basic. You can see here that Meow Meow Business, just appears, and there's a button, and then there's some pictures and various things like that. You see that it does have some editing options, so if I want to change the theme of my business, if I want to add or remove photos, all of this is available. And we'll go through that a little bit. So you can see here that I changed the theme so that the font appears a little bit different. It's a different color. You can also see that I can change this button. So if I want people to, the most important thing that I want for my business is for people to contact me, then I can do that here. If I want my button to say something like book an appointment, it can do that too. Now, it's also giving you some options for editing the main text. So if I want to add a summary in the body, if I want to change what description appears here, I can do all of that through this interface. This is the More tab you see down here, and you can see that we have some options here. If you're unhappy with your website, you can remove it. You can update the site name. It's giving us some tips and some suggestions covering Google Ads, and we can of course change the language. Your basic settings point. But these are important if you do decide to do something different down the line. And finally, the last thing I'll mention is that you can buy domains through Google. Buying a domain just means that no one else will be able to claim it, and you can see that these are pretty cheap options. So if I want meowmeowbusiness.com, I'll go ahead and buy it from there. If I want a .org, .net, a lot of people will buy .net, .org, and .com to make sure that no one else will claim those names and then perhaps confuse your customers. I generally, for my own sake, don't see much point in that unless you become very popular, but just the main one that people are used to, meowmeowbusiness.com, if it is a business, of course, if it's an organization, you might want to get that one instead. So these are options for you. You can do it directly through Google, or you can do it through other means. I say here, check out what's already there first. So if you're thinking about, a business, and it might be that someone else has already got those domain names registered, sometimes I say, make sure that you can get something meaningful that reflects your business, because if you can't get exactly what you need and it ends up having, the number 1 in it, like Salty Dog 1, then, that just kind of looks unprofessional. So just make sure that you're getting the right sort of domains. Make sure the right sort of domains are available, and if they're not, maybe think about changing your name, because it's often important to get the right sort of website for your business. And that's it. So we covered some miscellaneous topics today. Anything from the website they offer you to posting a COVID-19 update, various things like that. If you still have questions, you can give me a call. The number here is 740-592-3854. You can email us at info@acenetworks.org. That goes directly to me. You can find us on the web or Facebook or Instagram. So any way you want to communicate with us would be great. And I hope you learned something and made it through the course okay. Thanks.